Picture this. December 1944, the Ardennes forest. Snow falls silently through shattered pines as temperatures plummet to 15 degrees below zero. American soldiers crouch in hastily dug foxholes, their breath freezing mid-air, watching for German movement through the white curtain of a merciless winter. This is the Battle of the Bulge, where cold became as deadly an enemy as artillery. No Gore-Tex, no synthetic insulation, no chemical hand warmers tucked into gloves. Just wool, leather, and the raw human will to survive another frozen night. Today, we're uncovering the forgotten fieldcraft that kept soldiers alive when modern gear didn't exist, revealing techniques that remain brutally relevant for anyone serious about cold weather survival. When winter struck the battlefields of Europe and the Eastern Front, soldiers didn't have the luxury of high-tech fabrics that wick moisture and trap heat. They relied on a principle as old as warfare itself, layering natural fibers to create dead airspace. The standard issue began with a cotton undershirt followed by a wool uniform shirt and the iconic wool overcoat that could weigh up to 8 pounds when dry, nearly double when soaked through. Veterans learned quickly that survival meant managing moisture. Sweat was the silent killer, soaking through layers and turning insulation into frozen cloth against the skin. Experienced troops would remove outer layers during strenuous work like digging defensive positions or hauling ammunition, preventing perspiration buildup that would chill them to the bone once they stopped moving. The thick wool retained warmth even when wet, a property that synthetic materials would later struggle to replicate, making it invaluable in the constant damp of winter warfare. Frostbite claimed more casualties than many people realize, turning entire units combat ineffective without a single shot fired. Soldiers protected their extremities with heavy leather gloves, often lined with wool or fur, though these became stiff and unwieldy in extreme cold, making it nearly impossible to operate weapons or handle equipment. Many combat veterans developed a brutal routine. They'd wear thin wool glove liners underneath, allowing them to strip off the outer mittens for critical tasks while maintaining minimal protection. Footwear presented an even greater challenge. Standard-issue leather boots, while sturdy, offered little insulation and became waterlogged in snow. Smart soldiers hoarded dry socks like currency, knowing that changing into fresh wool socks twice daily could mean the difference between walking out of combat or being carried out with blackened gangrenous toes. They learned to sleep with spare socks against their bodies, using their core heat to keep one pair dry and ready. When even that wasn't enough, they wrapped their feet in strips torn from blankets or stuffed dry grass and newspaper into their boots, creating makeshift insulation that would horrify modern podiatrists but saved countless limbs. As darkness fell and temperatures dropped to bone-shattering lows, soldiers faced their most dangerous hours. Foxholes and defensive positions offered protection from enemy fire but became frozen tombs without proper management. Combat engineers and seasoned infantrymen developed techniques to winterize these crude shelters, lining them with pine boughs that provided both insulation from the frozen ground and a barrier against the wind. When time allowed, they'd construct overhead cover using logs, branches, and whatever materials they could scavenge, then pile snow on top. Counterintuitively, snow became their ally, its air pockets creating an insulating layer that could raise the interior temperature by 20 degrees or more. Inside these improvised shelters, soldiers huddled together, sharing body heat in a practice that transcended personal space and military rank. 2 men could survive where one would freeze. They learned to position themselves carefully, rotating positions throughout the night so that those on the outside exposed to the coldest air would periodically move to the warmer center. Small buddy burner stoves, crafted from ration cans filled with alcohol or gasoline-soaked sand, provided precious moments of warmth and the ability to melt snow for water or heat rations, though their use risked giving away positions to enemy observers. Maintaining body heat demanded fuel, and in winter warfare, calories became ammunition. The K rations and C rations issued to troops were designed for convenience, not comfort, but soldiers discovered that hot food provided more than nutrition. It raised core temperature and bolstered morale during the darkest hours. They'd heat canned rations using small fires built in holes, scraped into frozen earth, shielding the flames with their bodies and whatever materials they could find. Coffee became sacred, not just for the caffeine, but for the warmth it delivered to frozen hands wrapped around a metal canteen cup. Dehydration posed a constant threat that many didn't recognize until too late. Cold air holds less moisture, and heavy breathing in frigid conditions depleted body water rapidly. Snow seemed like an obvious solution, but experienced soldiers knew better than to eat it directly, understanding that melting ice in their mouths drained precious body heat. Instead, they'd melt snow over small fires or, when fuel was scarce, tuck snow inside their uniforms where body heat would slowly convert it to drinkable water. A miserable but effective technique. These weren't recreational campers testing gear on weekend adventures. These were ordinary men forced to master winter survival or die, and their hard-won knowledge speaks directly to anyone who takes cold-weather preparedness seriously. The principles remain unchanged. Manage moisture, protect extremities, layer natural fibers, share resources, and never underestimate the power of shelter. Modern materials have made survival easier, but when technology fails or isn't available, these fundamental techniques still work exactly as they did in the forests of Belgium and the steppes of Russia. As you plan your next winter expedition or build your cold-weather kit, remember those frozen foxholes and the men who emerged from them. Their ingenuity under impossible conditions forged a legacy of adaptability that every serious outdoorsman should study. If you found value in these hard-earned lessons from history's harshest classroom, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles. Share this with fellow history enthusiasts and survival-minded individuals who understand that the best gear is knowledge and the strongest tool is the will to endure. Stay prepared, stay informed, and never forget the fieldcraft that kept our predecessors alive when nothing else would.